I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart. In my heart I have but one desire. And that one is you. No other will do. I've lost all ambition for worldly acclaim. I just want to be the one you love. And with your admission that you feel the same, I'll have reached the goal I'm dreaming of.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of The Boom. My name is Metal Mike, and I'm joined here tonight with Mr. Phil. Phil, how you doing this Wednesday night here after AEW Dynamite?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Everything's kind of just ramping up right now. This is the first ever Dynamite after Wrestle Dream was off the air this past weekend. And honestly, we're going to be talking about how the show was, how honestly the first hour was pretty much all women essentially from top to bottom. And the thing is, like, honestly, I don't realistically think it was that bad. I honestly kind of liked the show tonight, but we'll get into everything. We'll get into possibly some Wrestle Dream talk as well. So overall, a really good show lined up for you guys tonight. And I ask you now, Mike, how was your Wednesday? What's going on with you?
Busy Wednesday. Had some things to take care of today. When let's just put it this way, when personal things happen and you have to take care of things and life is life, it just gets busy.
When life happens, you gotta just take it as it goes. So,
Too bad the Phillies are out of the playoffs and the Dodgers, the best team in baseball. Yeah, that is too bad. That is too bad. I will say that, but the thing is, and real quick on this is when a pitcher picks up a ground ball and everybody's telling him to throw to first and he doesn't throw to first, whose fault is it? The pitchers. Go Blue Jays. Let's just say that right now. Because the Blue Jays and Dodgers are in the World Series.
I will take the Blue Jays every day of the week.
Go Blue Jays. Phil, real quick before we get into talking about Wrestle Dream, there was a statistic that came out the other day, and this is really crazy. The Dodgers went out and spent money on Shohei Ohtani, about $500,000. They made all of their money back this season on him. 1 year.
Oh.
Made all their money back. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. Chicken Alfredo tonight. Virgo, even though Cam is not here tonight because Cam has the night off, he has some personal things that he is tending to. So Cam is not here. He will be back next Wednesday to host the Boom. He asked me to if I wanted to take charge tonight. So that's what we're here to do. Me and Phil take charge tonight, run the show, take care of things, talk wrestling. So he will be back next week, but this still goes in the book. Why? Because your comments go in the book all the time. So this is comment number 6. So here's the thing, Phil, is we do the Table Spot Awards every year over on the Table Spot every Monday night in December during our holiday shows. It is one of our holiday shows. And Virgo likes to come into the show every week or every time we're on air, and she will have a very unique name for me and Cam. So I decided to make a category just for Virgo's names. So it is she's going to win a Table Spot Award, but it's going to be all about what name we vote was the best one she gave. So this one goes down, and today's date is what, the 22nd? And I am dating these two, so that way I know when she said it and what show and everything like that. So I had the perfect name for him and you two. Here's the thing: is I know why Cam is off tonight. I do. So the thing is save it for next time. Save it for the next time me and him will be on air Sunday morning at 11 o'clock over on twitch.tv/the Huddle Hub Podcast and youtube.com/@the Huddle Hub Pod for the Huddle Hub Podcast as we get you guys ready for week 8 of the NFL and talk about week 9 from college football. Okay. Phil, we got some business to attend to. We got to get into it.
Yes, we do.
Wrestle Dream reactions. This past Saturday was Wrestle Dream out in St. Louis, Missouri on pay-per-view. And Phil, what would you grade Wrestle Dream? If you had to give Wrestle Dream a grade, A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus, A, B, C, D, or F, what would you give Wrestle Dream? What grade would you give it?
In all honesty, with how the show was paced, with how the results came out, and overall, it's just like how kind of the stories progressed and or finished after that event, and now we're heading into full gear. I'd give AEW a solid B for the show.
Okay.
The thing is, like, I really loved the pacing of the show. I thought the pacing was really well done by AEW. And normally when it comes down to AEW pay-per-views and them being as long as they are, it's really kind of hard for AEW to not only just showcase all the professional wrestling that they showcase on that show and just actually be able to pace it well in a nice manner, but this show, it just felt nice. It felt very organized. And honestly, when you take a look at the card from top to bottom, the results were what they were. A lot of the times I overall liked what they did. And, there were some things here and there that I think that AEW could do better. But of course, that's with any company. I mean, not every company is perfect. So you build on the stuff that you do well. You try to improve on the things that you can do better with. And then at the end of the day, you just go through the motions. But I give it about a B.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have to give it a B minus. I thought this show was, like you said, done very well, paced very well, compacted really well. It seemed like, and this is probably crazy to say, but yes, there was some stuff that I personally as a fan did not like that they did, but it feels like they didn't waste time on anything.
Right.
Even though there were matches, like the opening match between Jamie Hayter and Tekla, where I thought went a little over in time because it was 15 minutes, 35 seconds. I feel like that match could have went maybe 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like that match went a little over than what it really had to go, and which was the 15:35.
The one match that I thought that was very much well over time in my eyes was the $500,000 match. I did not think that match is going to be going over 20 minutes. I thought you could have done that at least in maybe 15, 18 minutes tops, but they went to 21, honestly. It was kind of crazy for me.
See, I don't know. I'm kind of on the side of I was okay with the timing of it, but some of the things that were done in the match, I think they could have done without.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the timing was perfect, though, because it's the first match back for Jurassic Express as a tag team. And the Young Bucks are, what's up, Will? Thank you for joining us tonight here on the Boom. Appreciate you stopping in and checking out the show. We are talking about AEW Wrestle Dream from Saturday night, and then we are going to get into the Dynamite talk, just doing a rundown real quick of Wrestle Dream. I think there were some things in the match they did not need to do. And I'm not saying that they wasted time doing it. It's right. Just, what was, it's kind of like, what'd you do that for? What was the point of this? But it was a profiled match for a return of Jurassic Express, a tag team we haven't seen in 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
What it seems like, yeah.
And then you got the Young Bucks, who right now are in a position of, they're trying to build back up their reputation. At the same time, they're stuck in between a rock and a hard place because, they don't want to fight for their former friends, but they also don't want to fight against their former friends.
Yeah.
Like a Kenny Omega. So they were kind of between a rock and a hard place. But other than that, and that's just what I mean is I think the timing was fine. It was just some of the wasted motions. So, and the match was 21 minutes, 35 seconds. So it was kind of in that sweet spot. Wasn't bad. Running down the card real quick, and then we'll cover a little bit more stuff and talk about some more stuff. Pre-show stuff we won't cover. Main card, Jamie Hayter defeated Tekla. Jurassic Express defeated the Young Bucks for the $500,000. The Hurt Syndicate defeated the Demand in a number one contenders match for the Trios Championships. The Hurt Syndicate did get their match tonight on Dynamite for the Trios titles, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Kyle Fletcher defeated Mark Briscoe and retained the TNT Championship. That's another thing we're going to talk about, as a challenge was made tonight on Dynamite from Mark Briscoe for one more shot. Chris Statlander retained the AEW Women's World title against Timeless Toni Storm. Mercedes Moné, she retained the TBS Championship in a win over Mina Shirakawa. She also won the interim Ring of Honor Women's title and made it her 12th championship. 11th championship, because she's now at 12.
She's now at 12.
Yeah, she won the Winnipeg Pro Wrestling.
She won the Winnipeg title over the weekend.
Yeah, on Sunday. Brodito defeated the Don Callis family in Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita.
27 minutes, man. That was
for the tag team titles. That was a really good match. Yeah. Hangman Adam Page retained the AEW World Championship against Samoa Joe, and Darby Allin defeated Jon Moxley in an I Quit match in the main event. Phil, let's do this. Let's do this. What was one thing that you liked, and what was one thing that you disliked from Wrestle Dream? So
the one thing that I liked was the overall structure. I'm going to talk about the main event, because the main event is kind of into two pieces for me. It's kind of something for me that I liked about the show. I honestly thought the match was very well done between Darby and Mox. I think honestly them being in that main event spot was absolutely perfect by AEW. There was no other way that AEW could have gone about having that match be anywhere else but the main event. I'm glad that AEW pulled the trigger on that. The one thing that I just did not like was the finish. I did not like the finish of that match. The thing is, when it comes down to Darby Allin winning, you know me.
Yeah.
Darby Allin winning was the right call for me. I that to me was the right call. The thing is, to me, and I understand the significance of Sting showing up. I understand the significance of him putting the Scorpion Deathlock and everything with Sting's move and all of that. Him being in the broken glass and all of that as well, because of the goddamn aquarium, which is a whole other different bag.
A 20-gallon fish tank.
Which is a whole other different bag, especially if you saw things on social media. But I just felt like after everything that we kind of saw throughout the build of the I Quit match, and them saying that they're just not going to utter the words I quit, and it was only a Scorpion Deathlock to make Jon Moxley say the words I quit, it kind of just felt a little off to me. But overall, like I said, I thought the match was done. It's just that kind of iffiness of the Scorpion Deathlock making Moxley, of all people, say I quit.
I mean, I'm going to respond to your likes and dislikes. I like the fact that AEW, and I stressed this so much on last week's show, that this needs to be the main event.
Yeah.
It couldn't be in the top of the show. It couldn't be in the middle of the show. This needed to be your main event. This was your blow-off match for the night. This was your possible car crash to send everybody home happy, no matter who won. And let me ask you that. If Jon Moxley would have won, would you have been happy with the outcome? Regardless.
The thing is, if that were the case, I know it wouldn't be over. So at that point, I would have been fine with it, if anything.
I mean, and that's the thing is regardless of Darby Allin or Jon Moxley winning, it wouldn't matter. People would have went home happy because of the fact that this was supposed to be just that car crash fun match to end the night. And it just didn't matter because you had a good time, whether you watched it at home or you were in the arena. I liked the fact that this was in the main event. Some of the stuff that was in it, I understand it was wonky, but again, this was supposed to be that fun match to just enjoy. No championships on the line, no stipulations. I mean, it was not a quit match, but when you think of other stipulations that could affect a storyline or anything else, it's like this had no effect on anything.
Right.
It was just what it was. That's it. At the end of the day, because Mox wasn't going away. You knew the Death Riders weren't going to be done. This was going to continue either way. Darby Allin picks up a big win, and there you go. So if the ranking system still existed, Darby Allin right now would probably be the number one contender for the world championship.
He would be. Yeah, in my eyes, he would be.
But now that they don't do that, it's not. And they're going to build on this storyline with the Death Riders and continue trying to make it work. And we're going to talk about the Death Rider stuff from tonight. But I get it. But and as far as the ending, I understand that too. It's like you go through all this stuff, the fish tank and everything they did in this match.
The Molotov a few weeks ago. Tasers in this match.
Everything leading up to it and everything that happened in this match. And the outcome was Sting coming out and Jon Moxley quitting to the Scorpion Deathlock. I mean, I get it. But at the same time, again, this was supposed to just be fun to send you home happy. Because there's a lot of stuff on this show that probably did not make you happy if you looked at it in a certain light.
Right.
The one thing I did like is the Young Bucks, their entrance brought back some nostalgia. Now, Phil, I don't know if you've ever seen this movie or not, but there was a movie that came out back in like the mid 90s called Blank Check. Okay. And it's about a kid who ends up receiving a blank check from somebody and he has to fill out for himself. The guy probably thought like, the kid's just going to put like $20 on it. Kid ends up putting like $1 million. Okay. So becomes a millionaire. Now, when the kid starts going broke and he goes to check his bank account, on the screen, it's flashing $332 and some odd cents. And the rundown of the stuff the kid bought. If you go watch that scene, you go watch the scene in the movie and watch the Young Bucks entrance from Saturday. Same thing. Now, I don't know if the Young Bucks purposely did this or if it was just a coincidental thing, but I loved it. I was like, man, that is so cool that they just pulled that out from that movie. If they did that. If they didn't, hey, it's cool that it's a happy coincidence. So
that was nice. I really did actually like their entrance a lot from the whole like the calculations and all that. They're like now they only have like 32 some odd dollars to their name. It was incredible.
The thing that I did not like, I'm not sick of Brodito and I'm not sick of Brodito being the tag team champions, but I would have really liked to see Takeshita and Okada win the tag belts and maybe build a storyline moving forward to lead up to a unified title match.
Right.
The storyline that I talked about, I would have loved to see that. I don't like I'm 50-50 on the Brodito being tag team champions, but I would have liked it more if Takeshita and Okada walked out with those titles. So I didn't like the fact that they lost. Other than that, this was a very good show, up and down. Locked in the whole time, did not lose interest. The timing was good. Perfect. Now, with that being said, me and Cam had talked about this. Okay. And I want to talk to you about this real quick before we get into the Dynamite talk.
Okay.
And I said to Cam, how is it that AEW can have these great pay-per-views, really good pay-per-views, and come off the pay-per-views with all this momentum? But then when we get to Wednesday night, it seems like the momentum just kind of dies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we go on to weeks and weeks to where Dynamite is just so unbearable. And it's so hard to watch and kind of assess because sometimes they don't do anything that's interesting. Most of the time, the past couple months, they haven't done anything that was really eye-catching or interesting.
Especially the shows after the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like that's really a struggle for them. And that really has been a struggle for them I can go back months and maybe even a year or two when it comes down to that kind of situation to where the show after the pay-per-view, it just falls flat from time to time. But, the thing is like, I realistically don't know what it is about AEW to where a lot of people just call Tony Khan Mr. Pay-Per-View because he just gives an amazing pay-per-view every single time. When you go into an AEW pay-per-view, you're going to get a great show because of the action that's going to be following that show. But, we see the stories that AEW tries to present week in and week out. We see the stuff that goes on AEW programming, whether you like it or whether you don't, whether you're invested in it or whether you're not. That's up to you and your prerogative. But
Yeah.
it's just the way that AEW does their programming type of style, the way that they do their storytelling, whether it's on an episode of AEW Dynamite or whether they want to try to, further something on AEW Collision, but most people don't get to watch that show or just don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that AEW just kind of has to maneuver around because, when it comes down to it, yeah, sure, you're trying to use both your A show and your B show to the best of your ability, but you got to allow fans to not just be able to watch it at their own pace, but also just give them something to really look forward to. So it's very much kind of a battle between Tony Khan and the fan base in that regard. But whenever it comes down to an AEW pay-per-view, you're going to get a great show. It's just up to everybody's progression at that point.
Well, let's see if AEW was able to continue the momentum from Saturday as we get into talking about AEW Dynamite. And this show opened up with Hangman Adam Page. He cut a promo after his match on Saturday, talking about Samoa Joe. And he just pretty much mentioned that, Joe, I warned you, double cross me, turn on me, whatever. You're going to have to deal with me. I'm going to ruin your life. That's that. So I'm assuming to the fact that we're going to get Samoa Joe and Hangman Adam Page probably at full gear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like, hey, we're going to see it at full gear. And that's going to happen. So we'll have to find out moving further down the line.
And I don't mind that. I don't mind them continuing that whatsoever, considering it honestly did kind of just start.
I mean, with after the match on Saturday when Samoa Joe just suddenly turned on Hangman and beat him down and the Ops beat him down, it was like, and I said that last week, I said, one thing that they should do to make this a little more interesting is have Samoa Joe, whether he wins or loses, turn on Hangman Adam Page after the match. It was the one thing I said last week. I said, if you want to make this interesting, make it interesting. Turn the Ops heel. Have them turn on him.
They look way better as heels anyway.
They do.
It just fits them so much more perfectly. So,
well, speaking of the Ops, they defended the Trio Championships tonight against the Hurt Syndicate, who won a number one contenders match at Wrestle Dream on Saturday. The Ops did end up retaining the AEW Trios Championships, and then Samoa Joe after the match, he said that he's going to make Hangman Adam Page his bitch. So that's pretty much confirmation that we are probably going to be seeing Samoa Joe and Hangman Adam Page at full gear again. But if you have any thoughts on the match and what Samoa just said after the match, the floor is yours.
Match is good. I kind of just had a feeling that we were just going to be getting a title retention regardless. The fact I didn't even realize that it was a number one contenders match until finally, when I was just going through the motions of live tweeting the show on social media, finally somebody told me, and I was like, okay, interesting. We're going to be getting that, but it's kind of just a number one contenders match to ultimately lose. And that's kind of what this was. But, the match was good. Very well done by Samoa Joe. They just fit better as a heel type of faction anyway. And, Samoa Joe after the match with the promo, thought that was very well done as well. Continuing the storyline and the progression with Hangman Adam Page, and this time around heading into full gear with how intense Samoa Joe is and with how legit he makes that world championship type of feel look.
Yeah.
I'd love to see this match again. So overall, really well done there. But yeah, it was kind of just the match to have a match, and we were going to get a retention regardless.
I mean, out of the very few times, I don't really want to say few times because Samoa Joe is a former TNA champion as well. But let's just look more towards the twilight of his career. I'm talking like WWE and up to now. He only had one world title match, if not two world title matches in WWE. He had the Universal title match at Great Balls of Fire against Brock, which was a pretty decent build-up. And Samoa Joe made that build-up for how short it was good. Wasn't bad. He was a heel at the time, but he was the babyface in that situation because of Brock being a heel. Now he goes into this situation with Hangman, and he was a babyface, turned heel. He was a heel going in against MJF. So Samoa Joe turning heel, and I said this too, Samoa Joe works much better as a heel. He's a good babyface. Don't get me wrong, but I think he works much better as a heel. And I'm excited to see what this build is going to be like heading into, if it's Full Gear. Because we do have Blood and Guts coming up before Full Gear, November 12th.
Yeah, that's 3 weeks from now. Yeah.
Yeah. And Full Gear's on November 22nd. So we can end up seeing this match, if it happens, before Full Gear at Blood and Guts. So after that, Chris Statlander was backstage with Renee, and Chris Statlander had some words for Toni Storm as they had their match on Saturday. She retains the AEW Women's World title. She said certain words like, whether she stripped, cuddled, or beat the shit out of her, she's glad she got to do it with Toni Storm. Some funny words coming out of Chris Statlander's mouth.
It's Toni Storm logic, yeah.
But she very quickly turned her attention to one Mercedes Moné. Now, Phil, we've seen Mercedes Moné, and I said this. I think she completely undermined Chris Statlander on Saturday when she came out and, for her match. Chris Statlander's in the middle of the ring. She's celebrating, and literally halfway, not even 30 seconds after winning, interrupts Chris Statlander, tells her to get out of the ring.
Right,
now, Chris Statlander ended up with the somewhat upper hand at the end of that after Mercedes won her match because she came down and, but there was a little bit of undermining. Chris Statlander turns her attention to Mercedes and says, hey, you want a shot at the Women's World title? Just pretty much ask. You got it. We'll see you at Full Gear. Now, our first match for Full Gear was made tonight, Mercedes Moné against Chris Statlander. So are you excited to see Statlander and Moné at Full Gear?
It's 1 year from the first time that they went off against each other at Full Gear last year. So it's kind of a full circle moment in terms of that. What Statlander said in the promo is 100% true. She's definitely not the woman that Mercedes faced a year ago. She's more confident this time around. She is a women's world champion this time around. So there's just that in and of itself when it comes down to the overall makeup of everything. I am excited. I'm just frightful. I'm just scared to see what could possibly happen for the future of Chris Statlander and her AEW Women's World title run. You know me. I'm a fan of Chris Statlander, and I'm a fan of them going all in, essentially, and giving her this World Championship run. But it's Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
She has 12 titles. And she's going after her 13th, which we'll get into later on in the night. And she could possibly be going after her 14th if AEW does go the path that, we could possibly see. So it's very much interesting. But overall, I am looking forward to seeing what those two ladies can do, especially from what happened last year to now.
I'm going to say this. I think this was Chris Statlander's best promo since being Women's World Champion.
I agree 100%.
Now, my critical side, was it a good promo? Yeah, it was okay. It was better than the ones before. I will say that. Progress. There's a happy medium. There was some progress there. I think the one thing that Chris Statlander would do to win me over with being the Women's World Champion is have a little more aggression in her promos.
Okay. I can 100% feel you on that.
Well, the reason why is because if you look at what she was doing literally weeks before, she was kind of in that mix up with the Death Riders. Is she in or is she out? Who knows? The questions are there, and she was cutting pretty good promos during that time. And then she wins in a random fashion fatal 4-way match at the pay-per-view and wins the title. And now we're getting half alien, half regular, normal human Chris Statlander. So it's like the switch was flipped in a random way. And now she goes from aggressive promos of the possibilities of joining the Death Riders to this. And it's like, you're the world champion. Show me some more aggression, because I would have loved for you to become the women's world champion with having that aggression.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, if it was the Death Riders ultimately get that aggression out of her, I would be fine with it. But the thing is, I just wouldn't want her to be a part of the Death
Oh,
Riders. Like that just would not fit with me whatsoever. And the thing is, like, it's kind of a double-edged sword at that point. But if
look,
it was the Death Riders to get that aggression to her, I'd be
look what
for
Mox
that.
is doing to Darby. Look at the
Yeah.
aggression from Darby lately.
Yeah.
And they're pulling it out of him, and he ain't a part of the Death Riders, so it can happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of Darby Allin, he came out and talked very few words. He talked about the match with Moxley on Saturday, and he knows that the Death Riders aren't going anywhere. He knows that's not happening, even though he beat Mox. And he even said, as long as the Death Riders are breathing, he's not going to be far behind them. So, I mean, Darby Allin pretty much saying, like, hey, if you're there, I'm going to be there, whether it's in the same room or the next room over. But I'm not going to be far. I'm going to be a stone's throw away. Because if you cause something and I don't like it, or you do something to somebody that I'm friends with, or anything like that, then I will be there. We're going to fast forward here. We're going to kind of go off track a little bit because of what I just said. We did have 2 matches involving the Death Riders tonight. John Moxley, he took on Kyle O'Reilly.
Right.
And that match ended in a DQ with Kyle O'Reilly winning because John Moxley attacked the referee.
Paul Turner got messed up. Bro.
Literally went to commercial break, came back, and the trios match between the Conglomeration and the Death Riders started. And this match pretty much ended up to where Orange Cassidy was about to face what Darby Allin faced a few weeks ago, getting thrown through the table from the ring, this time by Claudio Castagnoli. And Darby Allin kept to his word, wasn't far behind, came out, nailed Claudio with the baseball bat, and the Death Riders went running with their tails between their legs. So your thoughts on this whole situation with Darby, the Conglomeration, the Death Riders, this whole thing that's happening right now?
I know the ladies are building towards possibly a blood and guts match for 3 weeks' time.
Mm-hmm.
But this, to me, kind of just screamed what I think AEW could possibly be doing with blood and guts this year. I truly believe that to be the case. With Darby Allin saying earlier on in the night about him being, not too far behind wherever the Death Riders may be, wherever they're breathing, so will he. The fact that Darby Allin came out there to ultimately help the Conglomeration and take away the Death Riders once and for all in that regard, I think we could be seeing the Conglomeration team with Darby to take on the Death Riders inside Blood and Guts. That's just me. We'll see in due time how that shapes out, even if that is going to be the case. It would be very different this time around, considering if that is the case, we could possibly be seeing 2 Blood and Guts matches on the show, which is very different for AEW, considering they normally only did the one up until this point, but we'll see. Overall, though, I thought the 2 matches that bled together very well, considering that John Moxley didn't want to necessarily quote unquote quit. He just completely decked Paul Turner just to, get that match thrown out of there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very well done too. And the thing is, with John Moxley, and this is something that I would kind of ultimately would have liked to see AEW kind of build upon or experiment with. If I were the leader of the Death Riders and I went throughout this entire build to ultimately say I would never utter the words "I quit," and then ultimately did, I would have personally thought that I should just not show my face on AEW programming that night, or the next few nights or whatever, because I ultimately went against my word. So I thought AEW could have possibly experimented with that, not have John Moxley on the show, at least not for this week or maybe even 2 weeks from now. Yeah. It is what it is, but overall, I thought it kind of flowed together well, and we could be seeing that match for Blood and Guts.
I think we're well past the idea of a John Moxley disappearing after a big loss. Because, we should have seen it when he lost the world title to Hangman.
Right.
And then we should have seen it again starting tonight after his loss to Darby on Saturday. I think the big question is can the Death Riders function without John Moxley being around? I think as fans, we can answer that by saying yes, because of having Claudio and having Yuta, having Pac, and, Marina being there and everything. I think they could, but Jon Moxley being the leader of this group is very, in the more sense, he's the vocal one. He's the one that does all the talking.
He's really the heartbeat of it all.
He really is. We got, a week or two ago, we got all the young guys talking in the parking lot, and Moxley and Claudio were standing behind him. That was great. That was a great promo. Loved that promo. Yeah, one of my favorite promos this year from AEW. But when you think of it long term, Jon Moxley is the voice, the heartbeat, the leader. So if he goes away, the big question would be, can this team survive? And I'm not just talking, survive by going into the ring and doing what they need to do, because they're all talented to where they could. Could the popularity / unpopularity, because you do have people who are fans of the Death Riders.
Yeah.
The popularity and the unpopularity of the Death Riders really exist long term or even short term without Jon Moxley being there. Would they be a vocal point of the show, is what I'm saying, or relevant on the show with a Jon Moxley not being there?
And that's a very good question to ask, and that's a very good point to bring up. This also just shows how much of a workhorse this guy is.
Exactly.
We all know exactly how Jon Moxley is to AEW. We all know what he means to the company. We all know what he honestly means to Tony Khan. Any type of situation kind of goes awry, they plug in Jon Moxley, and he's kind of just like the plug and play guy, and people kind of just look at it towards a blind eye because they just know exactly what Jon means. So overall, I understand that for every sense of the word, but it just makes sense if you just wanted to let Jon Moxley have a little bit of a break.
Yeah,
you had 3 opportunities to do it.
It would make sense again for the storyline because of him losing the high profile big matches. It would, but I think the deeper seated question is can the Death Riders, again, popularly or unpopularly, be okay on TV without him? And I think at this point it would have to be a no. It would have to be, because none of the other guys are vocal. I think it's the vocality of things, because all the other guys, again, we had all the young guys talk, and Claudio, he barely does. Marina, she really doesn't. So
right.
It's like Jon Moxley does all that for them. And if he's missing, who does it? And who's going to do it to make things make sense?
And that promo that we heard from Jon, the pre-tape stuff, that was very well done, incredible. Yeah. And the thing is, sure, I would have kind of experimented with him being away, but anytime we see a pre-tape or a live promo from Jon, it's always top-notch, because that's just how good he truly is on the mic. So, very well done there. And I'm honestly really interested to see where the Death Riders go next. And the thing is, you would not hear me say that the majority of the time when it comes down to Death Rider storytelling. So we'll see where it goes.
Your attention. They caught your attention. It's pretty much what it comes down to. They caught your attention.
Yeah.
It happens. So Jurassic Express, they had a really cool video talking about Saturday's match, and they pretty much said the reason why this is happening again, and you mentioned it a week or two ago, the big reason why these two are together is for one thing, and that is the tag team championships. They made that very clear in this promo.
Yeah.
This isn't, the end of the Young Bucks and Jurassic Express, because we've seen the Young Bucks go to Tony Khan's office and say that they need another money match. They need a match where money's involved because they need the money. And Tony Khan, surprisingly enough, answered the door and showed up on TV. Very rare occasion of that happening, unless he has a big announcement to make. Told the Young Bucks,
not blink during it.
Told the Young Bucks, hey, you want it, you got it. This is how we're going to do it. It's going to be an 8-man tag match, and you're going to be facing Jet Speed and Jurassic Express. And the Young Bucks were like, in a handicap match, and Tony Khan was like, no, you're going to be teaming with these guys, and out comes FTR. So we're going to get FTR and the Young Bucks taking on Jet Speed and Jurassic Express on Collision for $400,000.
Yep.
I mean, talk about getting people to come and watch Collision.
Yeah.
Are you going to watch Collision, and what are your thoughts about this match happening?
Simply because of the dynamic that is going to be between FTR and the Young Bucks, I want to see it. I do. I definitely do. The thing is, yeah, sure, it's another money match. Yeah, sure, it's $400,000 on the line. But the thing is, with this whole entire thing that the Young Bucks got going on, to just ask Tony Khan for any type of opportunity just to get some more money in their bank account, it's something that, and we keep saying this on the show, that it's kind of just run dry at this point, that they're broke and everything like that. But Matt and Nick, just for some reason, know how to kind of get people back into whatever they're doing without even kind of realistically doing much.
Yeah, they're entertaining.
And they're just an entertaining duo.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, and we'll see if they get more money in their pocket or if they continue to be broke. So it is what it is.
I mean, like I said about Saturday, the creativity that the Young Bucks have with the whole entrance, the screen, and everything like that, coming up with the idea of having, a rundown of, what they've been spending money on and who they owe money to. And I even said to Cam before this match happened, I said, how funny it would be is if they did something to where the Young Bucks owed people money and then they ended up losing this match. And then lo and behold, we get the entrance. I'm like, get the hell out of here. Like, they actually went with it. And like, it blew my mind that I literally thought of that and said it. And then there it is. Like,
it's just their bill right on the screen.
It's insane. Like, just the little ideas that us as fans can have. And then to see it progress on TV, like, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then to see the creativity that they have on doing it. Like, they could have just done something cheap, like took a picture of a piece of paper, like this, and wrote down things and then showed it on the big screen, like, oh, okay, or typed up, like, hey, we took this class and we owe $200,000 for taking this class for 8 weeks.
The pyro that we've used a couple of weeks ago cost us much money.
Like, exactly. But no, they put the time and effort into making it look like a computer screen from freaking 1992. And it's just creative. And the creativity of them now, I mean, like you just said, the little things that they do, they just seem to keep pulling you into the interest of what they're doing, even when it's dead in the water or stale or just past its time. Yeah. And they just keep pulling you in. It doesn't have to be pulled fully in, but just enough for you to say, okay, I'll pay attention. Let's see what this comes as.
I'll watch Collision this week.
Like, yeah, like it's like now you're kind of eager to know, are they going to go out and win this 400,000? Who knows? So we'll have to see. Women's 4-way tag team match took place tonight. Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale took on Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter. Sky Blue and Julia Hart and Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford in a fatal 4-way women's tag team match. Jamie Hayter and Queen Aminata did end up winning this match. We will get into the women's tag team tournament in a few moments. I do have the matches written down and everything like that. We're going to talk about this. I actually want to wait until we're done talking about Dynamite to talk about this tournament, if that's okay.
Yep.
So, but I want to get your thoughts on this women's fatal 4-way match, because this seems to be a prelude into the women's tag team title tournament that's going to be starting next week.
Yeah. The winner of this match actually got to choose their first opponents in this thing. So whoever won this ultimately got a spot in it, guaranteed, to be in the tag team title tournament. And I was not expecting to like the team of Aminata and Hayter so much, but they kind of won me over tonight. They did. Especially that finish.
Yeah.
The finish was insane. The headbutt into the Haterade was something that I just did not expect out of those two. I mean, we praise up and down Queen Aminata on the show and her improvement and just how she has honestly kind of caught the eye of the storm per se. And Jamie Hayter, she's always been really good. So, the thing is, it kind of just seems like a makeshift tag team at first, but if they continue to do this and rack up wins and try to figure something out in terms of, just building the tag team division moving forward, this could honestly be a legit tag team that a lot of people can get behind. So, really good stuff there. I personally had their eventual opponents in this tournament winning this match, but it is what it is. We'll see how the Sisters of Sin do in the rest of this tag team title tournament. So very well done, Fatal 4-Way. And honestly, I just love that AEW showed a lot of the women tonight, and they gave them a lot of the shine.
Here's the one thing I'm going to say is I'm not a fan of throwing singles competitors into a tag team. I'm not,
Right.
But nowadays, how do tag teams get created? By throwing two singles people together, whether it's on the women's side or the men's side, and that's how tag teams get created nowadays.
AJ and Dragon Lee.
AJ and Dragon Lee, tag team champions, exactly. But the thing is how they're going to make this whole women's tag team division work is by creating tag teams. Yeah. And we're going to see this. We're going to see, singles competitors on the women's side become tag teams with somebody. And it's either going to work or it's not going to work. Jamie Hayter and Queen Aminata, it's an odd pairing. It is because, they have two different styles, and could they make it work? Well, they gave us a preview tonight of whether they can make it work or not. I'm happy to see Queen Aminata on TV again because last year, towards the middle of 2024, she was on this hot run and didn't seem to be getting the opportunities that she should have probably been getting. And it's like now she comes back, she's on TV, and she's in the women's tag team title tournament. I'm not a big fan of Jamie Hayter, but because of Queen Aminata, I'm kind of like, I want to see them win just because of her.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the women's tag team title tournament before we close things out tonight because it was a big announcement. The one thing I'm going to say about this too is, yes, the tag team titles, there's no special design to them. They look like the other tag team titles. There's no difference. I get that. But if Tony Khan has shown us anything, he does have a history of changing the way titles do look at times, depending on who's holding them. MJF with the Triple B, the Trios Championships with the scissors and everything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he has a thing of where once whoever wins the titles, he may end up changing what they look like a little bit. Who knows? So, stay tuned. And number two, it's like you're going to have fans who are going to hate this, and you're going to have fans who are going to love this. Me personally, if I had to give my all around suggestion to fans, keep an open mind to this. Keep an open mind to it. Because there are so many women in that locker room who aren't getting opportunities on TV right now, whether it's on Collision, whether it's on Dynamite, or even if it's in Ring of Honor, not getting opportunities right now. Just think of what this women's tag team division is going to do for the women that sit backstage, in their locker room or in catering all night, doing nothing.
As much as we talk about how many championships this company has, spread across from both Dynamite, Collision, and even Ring of Honor, the tag team championships for the women's division of AEW is something that I am personally so grateful for AEW to actually have, for actually them doing. Because, like you said, there's so many women in this company. There's so many women in the backstage area that honestly just don't get to not only just show what they're about, but just to at least go out there and just shine a little bit. All of these women shine tonight in that Fatal 4-Way. And the thing is, you have Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, a legit tag team. They've been together for a little while now, and honestly, they just look good together.
Yeah.
And Sky Blue and Julia Hart, to me, are the most complete tag team that you have in that division right now. From top to bottom, the presentation, the overall look, Cam? The overall feel, just of Sky Blue and Julia Hart, they just fit so perfectly together. Hater and Aminata, something I did not expect to work, but ultimately with everything that kind of happened and how they kind of laid out that matchup tonight, they're interesting me.
Yeah.
They are. And honestly, I really like that a lot. And the final tag team, Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron, they look like a legit tag team in terms of the outfits and all of that, but you got to give them a little bit more reps.
Well,
so overall, just let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do this. You revealed pretty much half the tag teams. Let's just run down the tournament right now.
I'm sorry.
You're good. We got Jamie Hayter and Queen Aminata who won the tag match tonight. So they get to pick their first opponents for the tournament, which they pick Sky Blue and Julia Hart. That's going to be a first round match. The winner of that match is going to take on the winner of Athena and Mercedes Moné and Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron. Athena and Mercedes became a tag team towards the end of the night tonight because Athena walked up to Mercedes and offered to do so. They said, hey, we fought against each other. We know we could, we can pretty much take care of business.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do this again. Tournament starts next Wednesday night, Cam. First round tournament match starts next week. So we're going to get Athena and Mercedes against Willow and Harley. On the other side, it's Windsor and Riho against Tony and Mina, and then Bane and Ford against TJ in the first round. And the winner of those two matches face each other in the semifinal match.
Correct.
Again, I'll say this right now: Sky Blue and Julia Hart are my pick. I think they are the underdogs of this tournament. I think they are on the bad side of. I think they will end up on the bad side of every woman in this tournament because of the way that they're personified.
Yeah.
So my favorite is Sky Blue and Julia Hart in this tournament because I've been fans of them ever since they came into AEW.
Yeah.
So again, am I pulling for Queen Aminata and Hater? Yeah, because of Queen Aminata. Been a fan of Sky Blue and Julia Hart, since day one of them arriving. Mercedes Moné, I've always been a fan of her, but lately things have been kind of Willow and Harley. I like Harley. Harley has grown on to me. Willow, I'm 50-50 with as far as being a fan. Riho, I've been a fan of her since day one of AEW. I was so happy when she won the women's title. Toni Storm, as we know, she grew on me in the past year. Mina, I'm not a fan of Mina. I'm really not. I'm not calling
fair.
you. My dog's name is Mina, so she thinks I'm calling her. Stop. And then Bane, Ford, and TJ, just,
those two are legit tag teams that honestly are like, that's going to be for the division.
Yeah.
Forward.
Cam says Hart and Blue are his favorite as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's.
Yeah.
This tournament is basically like a toss-up. It's like almost anybody can win this tournament.
Yeah.
It is set up very nicely. It is set up to succeed. Now it's all about making this tournament a success.
It's nice, concise. There's legit tag teams in here. There are some random pairings in here, don't get me wrong, but honestly, it feels like some pairings that can work and honestly can build upon for the future of the tag team division. And it just seems like a really well thought out tournament. And that's the one thing that I ultimately love about this, because normally when it comes down to Tony Khan and his tournaments, it kind of just does feel like a little bit of a mixed bag, but this one actually does feel like really well thought out. And to me, I 100% agree with you. Sky Blue and Julia Hart, to me, should easily at least be in the finals of this thing. If it, like, to me, I feel like they are like the legit favorites to win this thing as well, like as terms of the winners. But they should at least get to the finals. I mean, those two are the most complete tag team in the division right now. They should get that as such. And then on the other side, it's just, I'm going to go with TJ, possibly.
I was going there
Mina,
too.
Or Mina and Tony, because I could just see Tony try to do that again, but I'm going to go TJ there.
I was going to say TJ versus Sky Blue and Julia Hart, because those are the two right now legitimate original tag teams in this tournament. And then the other teams are kind of building up. I would like to see that as the finals.
Like equity in those two teams.
They do.
Do it.
They do. Let's move on here. We're almost done talking about Dynamite. Mercedes Moné, she ended up in the ring. She did her celebration she was doing her celebration for the 12 belts. We seen a video of her entering to the arena with her belt men, the men that were holding all of her belts, pretty much. I love that Mike. Book it, Tony. Yeah, book it. I mean, just book it. Just make it happen,
Book it, Tony.
So Mercedes Moné was supposed to be in the middle of the ring. She was supposed to be doing her celebration, but we didn't get her right away. We ended up getting Harley Cameron, aka Mini Moné, in the ring with Renee, and a table with what was supposed to be a no-name vodka.
Money 12 on the cake.
It was on the cake, but then there was a bottle of no-name vodka because it just said vodka, and then the percentage.
Oh my god.
We are live, sir. What are you doing?
That was Mini Monet, everybody.
Had Mini Monet.
My
yes,
God.
Mini Monet. And then there was a bottle of no-name vodka. It just said vodka on it in blueprint, and then the percentage of alcohol. That's all it said on the label. It was no label. I think it was just water. But anyways, Renee was doing the interview with Mini Monet. And Mercedes very quickly came out. She was not happy about this. And she was telling Harley Cameron pretty much like, hey, you're begging me to be your partner, but now you're just pissing me off. She pulls Harley Cameron out from underneath the table. And out of nowhere, there lies Chris Statlander. And Chris Statlander puts her through not even the table, just the cake. And Mercedes is in, covered in cake.
And then she did put her through the table afterwards. But yeah I mean, it was very interesting. You had the celebration spoiled by the AEW Women's World Champion and Harley Cameron. Okay, Mini Monet is back. I didn't really kind of expect that, but it wasn't necessarily bad. I mean, was this a sports entertainment type of feel for a segment? 100%. Like this kind of just felt me like a lot of sports entertainment type of feel to this, but you got to get somewhere. You got to start somewhere with the Mercedes and Chris stuff, and that's where they went tonight.
I think we just need to get used to the fact that Mercedes is trying to cut promos on her own. But her being in WWE as long as she was and having promos cut, written for her and word by word and all that stuff. I was watching a video that I took a couple years ago, and Mercedes, at the time she wasn't Mercedes. She kicked off Monday Night Raw, and she was just coming back from an injury. And she literally came out on the stage, stood there, stared at the ring, walked down. She didn't do her normal dancing or anything like that. And listened to a certain show the next day, and they pretty much broke down, that you could tell she was trying to remember her lines because she wasn't normal. Now she's in the position to where, okay, you got to cut your own promos.
Yeah.
And they're not sounding good. They're not sounding great. They're not sounding good, but they're passable. I'll say this. Instead of sitting here complaining about it all the time, me as a fan, I'm just going to move forward and just accept it for what it is, because is it going to get any better? Could it? Yes, maybe. But until that happens, she has 2 championships in this company, the TBS title and the Ring of Honor, television championship, and then all the other championships from other companies. Got to accept the fact she's going to be around for a while.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Get fucking used to it.
Yeah.
Basically, get fucking used to it. That's that. Hope that her opponent or partner can carry promos for her, because the promos that come out of her mouth aren't sounding too good. Her in ring, it's good. It's passable. It's good. It's great. No. I'm at the acceptance stage now. I can either sit here and bitch and nothing changes, or I could just sit back, watch, get through it, and move forward. And that's what I'm kind of choosing to do.
And I'm just numb to it at this point.
There you go.
With how much championship she has, which is what kind of AEW is doing with her at the moment. It is what it is. But I will just say this one thing real quick, and then we can kind of just move on because it is kind of getting there. Renee was feeling herself tonight with that Monday dance. She was feeling herself during that Monday dance. She was like, "Oh yeah, let's do this thing." So you know what, good for her. I know like her and Mercedes are. You can tell that they're just really tight with each other. Like they're just really good friends backstage, and they just love each other. So this whole entire thing, they love it. But yeah, this is honestly something really good, and you gotta start somewhere. So there you go.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I'm just accepting it at this point. That's all there is to it. Just moving forward with it. You're numb to it, so you're kind of accepting it too.
I'm expecting 14 belts by the end of all of this anyway, so who knows?
I thought you were going to say 14 belts by the end of October. I was going to say we got a week left. I would not doubt that. So
or that too. I mean, who knows?
Kyle Fletcher came out with Don Callis tonight and talked about his match on Saturday with Mark Briscoe, saying that, hey, if he faced Mark Briscoe 100 times, he would beat him every time. Mark Briscoe came out and said, look, I'm not coming out and begging. I'm not going to complain. I'm not bitching or moaning. I'm not making excuses. And he did go on to say, because, he got low blowed and then, ended up losing the match because of the illegal hit by Kyle Fletcher. Did say that he's been icing his balls all weekend.
I was thinking you were going to say that. I didn't know if you were going to say it or I.
Yeah, he was icing his balls all week up until tonight. But he said to Kyle Fletcher, give me one more shot. You said you could beat me 100 times. Give me one. Give me one shot. And Don Callis cut in and said, no, you sound desperate. You sound like you're begging. And he really didn't. Don Callis, you need to, open your ears a little bit. But anyways, he said no. And that was that. They walked away. And, Don Callis walked away. And Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe were jaw flapping at the end. Who knows what they said? Maybe they are deciding to have another match. I hope this match happens one more time because, again, like I said, Mark Briscoe gets put in these big-time situations, and then when it comes time to maybe pull the trigger on putting a championship like the TNT title on him, they're like, no. Let's build you up, and then we'll tear you down when you get to the top of the mountain. Your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, I 100% agree. They do that all the time with the guy, and it's something that we're all just kind of, at least on this show, we're all just kind of sick of it because we just know what Mark Briscoe can bring.
Yeah,
that is crazy, Cam. But yeah, the thing is, I do kind of want to see it one more time. But ultimately, this is going to be the 6th match if that happens. So once that is done, it's got to be done because we got to move on and we got to see where Kyle Fletcher can go outside of Mark Briscoe. That's just me personally, though. Especially with the title.
If this is match number 6 out of 100, we got 94 to go.
I know, that's the thing. I mean, we can at least have that throughout the years of AEW. No.
Yeah. By the time we get to match number 100, I'll be like 50 years old. So another 11 years until we get to.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, we can.
Unless Tony Khan pulls what WWE does and has the same guys in the same main event of Raw every week for 12 weeks,
Oh yeah, that's Triple H's MO over the course of the last 2 years of its existence.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely something. And keep in mind, folks, Kyle Fletcher is a very young boy. He's 26. So
yeah,
we can see a lot of him moving forward within this company.
Jeez, man, he's 26.
I'm 1 year older than him.
Years older,
like, dude. That 10, makes 11, no sense.
26. So he would be 37 when I'm 50. He'll be 37. So
and normally that's like the prime of wrestlers' careers. And he's wrestling like he's in the prime of his career now. I'm 26.
There we go.
Who knows what the heck this guy is going to be like at the age of 36, 37?
Who knows? Main event tonight was the Unified Championship match between Okada and Bandito. Reason why this match happened was because Bandito was the one that pinned Okada on Saturday. So they made the match for the Unified title because he pinned the champion. Okada did end up picking up the win. And at the end of the night, we had the Don Callis family come out, minus Takeshita Okada. Okada came, or Konosuke Takeshita came out on his own with his own entrance. That's how we closed out Dynamite tonight. So if you have any thoughts on the main event for the unified title and Okada continuing his reign.
Solid match. Knew the title was going to retain. Really like the ultimate finish of the match, though, because during the match, they were telling the story of Bandito's shoulder once again. The shoulder was a really big part of this matchup here. And when it was time to go for for that rolling kind of suplex that he does, like the O'Connor roll type deal, they had Okada go backwards just a little bit so that when he landed it on his feet, boom, right there into the Rainmaker to ultimately get the win 1-2-3 and retain the title. And I like what they're doing here with Okada and Takeshita. It's small, it's subtle, but with everything going down between the two, having everybody come out, all 18 members of the Don Callis family come out there, ultimately just to get the one to stare at him face to face in the middle of the ring with that title, while he's also holding the IWGP World title on his shoulder as well, just to give that little bit of a tease, just to where we can get that blow off of them just exploding and getting to that ultimate unified title match at the end of it all. It's good. It's really good by AEW. So you continue to build. You don't want to do this right out the gate. You don't want to just let the load out right away. Build until the crescendo of the title match.
You pretty much don't want to rush things like they did with Will Ospreay leaving the family, because they did rush things with Will Ospreay leaving the family. You know, we know Takeshita is going to be leaving this group. It's going to happen, but slow build it. Like how special Okada and Takeshita is going to be. You put them on a special stage. You know, that's a main event match right there.
Yeah.
For a pay-per-view. Crazy enough, it's for a unified title, not the world title, not a major title, anything like that. It's for a mid-card title.
These two can fight for any world championship around the world, and it's something that everybody would enjoy.
I mean, I'll say this. If AEW doesn't take advantage of that sooner, I could see New Japan taking advantage of it. I could.
Oh, yeah.
With the IWGP World title. I could see it.
Yeah.
That's why I think AEW would need to take advantage of this. Yeah, if we get the full gear, is there a chance that you would put your world title in the position of 2 straight pay-per-views without being the main event? No, I don't see that. But the realm of possibilities, and you're looking at Takeshita and Okada, that could be a main event match. Who cares if it's for the unified title? If this is going to be your best match on the card, save it for last. Send people home happy like you did this last pay-per-view.
So with this, the Unified Championship, if I'm correct, is the amalgamation of the Continental and the International.
Yeah.
And technically, from what we have known from the overall explanation from Tony Khan himself, the Continental rules are still applied to this championship.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, when it comes down to World's End at the end of the year, the Continental Classic is right around the corner.
Yeah.
When it comes down to that, we're going to be getting Konosuke Takeshita winning the Continental Classic in my eyes, and that is how we get to that crescendo of getting that title match at World's End.
And since that pay-per-view focuses around the Continental Classic, you can possibly make that your main event.
You could. You very well could. And that could be the end of Takeshita finally being a part of the Don Callis family when he wins that title.
Don Callis' world pretty much ends. There it is. Well, we'll have to see what happens moving forward. Got Dynamite next week, so I'm sure we'll continue the build to this. So, but that's all we got. AEW Dynamite tonight on 10/22/2025. With that being said, Phil, all your socials are going to be on the bottom. What do you want to let the people know? What do you got going on?
TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, PhillyMet _ or PhillyMet. You type in the name, it's there. Trust me. I am making videos right now as soon as we get out of here about that little bit of a theory that I have with the whole Continental Classic and World's End with that whole entire thing, because it just makes sense to do that. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned to all the other shenanigans that I got here, especially YouTube. Road to 1K continues, and I got some stuff in the wings for both AEW and WWE coming over there on those side of things. So stay tuned.
All right, so make sure you're going to check out what Phil's doing over on social media and everywhere that he posts videos and beyond. So go check that out. Hit that follow button, subscribe button, and help him on his journey. Go do it. After the show. Wait until we're done. Let us get off air first. Metal Mike 714 is where you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Snapchat. I always say this. I don't do much on my personal social medias. All my content created is on the shows here on the Boom every Wednesday night with Phil and Cam, on Monday night with Cam over on the Table Spot after Monday Night Raw, and also over on twitch.tv/The Huddle Podcast and youtube.com/@TheHuddlePod. Also on X and TikTok @TheHuddlePod. I posted a couple videos from our Tuesday show today with me and John talking about some college football. Me and Cam will be live this Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be running down week 8 of the NFL. We will also be covering everything that happened on college football Saturday and pretty much reviewing everything that happened. So come join us, and all the news coming out of the world of football. So come join us 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over on twitch.tv/The Huddle Podcast on Sunday. With that being said, thank you everybody for dropping by and checking out the Boom. Be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Have a great evening. See you on the next one. Deuces.